Welcome to Tank Tech, the podcast all about drinking excellent craft beer and discussing video games. I'm Ben, I'm joined by Alex.
Yeah.
I'm joined by Aadil.
Hey.
Hey guys, let's crack straight into beer. We're all drinking this week, which is a bit of a novelty sometimes.
What are you drinking, Aadil?
It's a bit cool here, and I'm under the weather. So it's Porter Week.
Nice.
So I've got the Anchor Porter,
which
is made in San Francisco, by Anchor Brewery, blah, 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 brand. Smallest, most traditional breweries in the world, by the brewers of Anchor Steam, which I think you've had, Alex.
We've had a Steam on an early episode.
So this is not their original one, this is their porter, although it's still apparently quite old.
I had an Amber Ale the other day.
Yeah.
It's quite nice.
And then another one from Boxing Rock, that's from Shelburne, Nova Scotia. It is their Sunken Ledge Porter.
Nice. Good label.
Yeah. It's 650 mils, but 5%. And the Anchor is all natural, apparently. And it seems to have all of the alcohols. According to the Surgeon General, women should not drink alcoholic beverages during pregnancy. Where's the ABV?
That's good advice.
Yes.
Maybe it doesn't have any.
Yeah, no alcohol. It's alcohol-free.
Nice.
I'm sure it says somewhere. Anyway. I think I'll start with the Anchor. For no real discernible reason. They're both sort of... There's nothing that says, this one's really strong, so I'm going to start with the smaller one.
Cool.
It doesn't say how strong it is.
No.
You just got to guess.
Well, we're on random beers this evening. So I went and spent a £50 voucher in a specialty beer shop 2 days ago. Nice. And now I've only got 4 beers left.
Jesus.
2 days ago.
So, do you remember the past 2 days?
Sort of. I can tell by the fact that there's quite a few empty beer bottles in my house.
Yeah.
2 days is
I didn't say, can you deduce? I said, can you remember?
Okay, so this one is by Cloudwater.
Oh, I like that label.
It's Lapsang Lichtenhainer. Lichtenhainer is a beer style I'd never heard of before, so I had to look it up before this. And according to the internet, Lichtenheiner's...
it was a wheat beer.
It's a sour smoked lower gravity historical German wheat beer, complex yet refreshing character due to high attenuation and carbonation, along with low bitterness and moderate sourness. But it has in the aroma category, it said it has the notes of smoke with a dry character, like the remnants of an old fire, not grassy smoke. So,
that makes sense if it's Lapsang, right?
Does it?
Lapsang Souchong, the tea is Russian caravan tea. So it's, again, campfire versus...
Made over a coal fire?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that's what we're starting off with, and then this is only 3.6. Then after that, we've got a Buxton Tripel, which is 9%.
Oh, it's a busty Buxton.
Yeah, and then we've got a Tempest Brewing Company, Old Parochial, and that's an imperial, barrel-aged imperial Scotch ale, and that's 10%.
Oh,
it's a barley wine, basically. And then after that, we've each got a can of Beavertown Skull King IPA, which is 8.7%. So
now, are you going to drink all 4 in this episode, or...?
Don't know.
We'll find out. We'll see how long we go for.
Ben's already been in the pub, and I've already had 2 beers.
And I've only had 1.5 cups of coffee, so there's still half a mug of coffee left. So
nice, because it's bank holiday. I've had nothing to do all day, so yeah, basically just went to the pub.
Nice.
I was given by a friend a collection of random beer mats.
Yeah.
like coasters. And I've had them as my coasters for years. And I literally moved my coffee cup off of the coaster, which, again, I've had these coasters for over 10 years.
Mm.
Nice.
And it's an Anchor Steam coaster. And I never noticed. Well, I know where I'm putting my beer.
Mm. So, whilst we start to smell and take in these beers, I should explain that this week we're going to be obviously talking about the games that we've been playing. We're also going to continue our previous topic of collections, but this time talk about in-game collections and either how fun and joyous it is or how absolutely ridiculous and absurd it may be.
Or possibly something in the middle, but I doubt it.
Or maybe.
No, we're pretty polarized.
Yeah. So this
Trump or nothing.
This Cloudwater is really light in colour.
It looks slightly darker than store-bought apple juice.
Yeah.
A little,
Right.
yeah.
Or maybe the same. Yes, it's quite yellow and quite clear though.
Cool, that nose is really sour on the nose.
Yeah, it smells like whiskey.
Oh, excellent.
It does a little, actually, yeah.
Smoky.
This
Not
is
like
the smoky
grassy
one?
smoke.
More
like
of a coal fire smoke.
Like an old fire, just simmering embers.
If you had to relate it to a tea, you made.
Some kind of Russian caravan tea, possibly. It's all right.
Taste is, well, horrible, obviously.
Cool. That is a smoky
it
sourness, isn't it?
Yeah, well.
Sour and smoke. That does not sound good.
No.
I mean, we all know how much we're fans of sours, so it's a shame
And
it's ruined
smoky.
by smokes. Oh, I like smoke, but that's in my whiskey, not so much my beer.
Yeah.
Or my lungs,
But then
really.
a smoked porter can be quite nice.
Fair. I don't think I've had a smoked porter.
No, I think I had one on an episode. It may have been you and I had a slightly smoked porter.
Maybe.
Possibly, if I looked back.
A smoked porterhouse.
So, anyway, how's yours, Aadil?
It's not quite as light as yours.
No.
It's about as dark as a Guinness, and just as opaque. Not quite as creamy. Heady. It has a slight sourness, a sort of sickly sweetness. Like, I don't know what kind of apples. But you know when there's apples sort of go bad and they're not quite rotten, but they sort of give off this smell.
Yeah. Sour apples.
Yeah. But there's still that hint of like the fructose in it or whatever. And then a hint of maltiness. But mostly that sort of sickly, soury sweet.
Wait, is it a porter or a stout?
It's a porter. Oh, it's quite dry. Almost a touch of grape I'm tasting.
Really?
Weird.
Yeah.
That seems odd for a porter.
Yeah.
Has it not got like chocolate or coffee or anything?
It does have a sort of a cocoa, not quite a chocolate, like a high cocoa count, like a really baker's style, for that strong cocoa. Yeah, I'd say that more than the coffee. But it dries your mouth out quite a bit. Like the sort of start to finish taste is a matter of a couple of seconds. It's not one that sort of develops, and then it just leaves this dryness in your mouth.
This Lichtenhainer sort of leaves a slight sourness, but it's quite dry as well, isn't it?
Dry.
Yeah.
Now, I have
It's
to
not
say,
really
I
getting
am
better.
a little under the weather, and so I am a little stuffed up, so I could be totally wrong on what this actually tastes like. So, I mean, one of the reasons I picked the porters was I figured they'd at least have sort of strong characteristic notes.
Yeah.
And, like, this wouldn't be the time to try and taste a nuanced IPA.
Yeah, I think if we weren't feeling too good and we were drinking this, you wouldn't get a huge amount from it, would you?
No.
Not get a huge amount from it, apart from the sourness
and the smokiness.
and the smoky.
That's all I'm getting, really, anyway.
Oh, are you sick, Alex?
No, this is sick, this beer. I just don't get it. I don't understand this beer style.
No, it's strange. Just
not nice.
Okay, we'll drink these. Who would like to begin this week discussing what they've been playing? Takers.
I can talk.
Cool.
I've played too many games.
have
first
played
off, just to get this out of the way, my Steam hours on Super Hexagon are 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Only 3.
But at the airport, flying back to Halifax in between these episodes, I fucking beat the first level.
Yeah.
And my Steam profile has that badge now on it, because of course I immediately went into the profile and beat it. So now I have, there's hard, harder, hardest, and harderer, I think?
Harder.
Yeah, or harderest, I can't remember. Which is quite hard.
Okay.
And I'd always waffled between sort of hard and hardest. Like I'd go to hardest and play like 7 seconds at the most, just to sort of flick my mind to that pace. And then when I went back to hard, it was way slower because that game just changes your perception of time.
Yeah.
But I'd always skip the middle, and I'm just shit at the middle. I think part of it is I'm not used to some of the patterns at all. And so I just get confused. Like one of them, you have to go back and forth, like so you have to swing like an arc, a quarter circle arc, and then immediately quarter circle arc and back and forth. And there's another one where you have to do half circles, but because of that, it looks mostly like just concentric hexagons. So I can't. It's going too fast. I don't even know which way to go, and by the time I figure it out, the round is over. I'm outpaced by the game. I think my max is 10 seconds. Versus 62.3.
Nice. Yeah. So is it 60 seconds?
Yeah, you pass the level at 60 seconds and it keeps going. Yeah. But I was sort of shocked.
Yeah. I think I've got close to 60 seconds before. Like 48 seconds.
I was going to say I'm closer. I think I'm closer to 40 seconds, I think. So, although I don't think I played it as much as you two.
I haven't played it for ages. Yeah. I've talked about it more recently than I've played it. Yeah. Obviously.
But yeah, so now suddenly there's this ambition back in me to do more in this game because I've proven one of the achievements is possible.
Yeah,
I think there are just 6 achievements, which are the 6 levels. Like there's not even the bullshit. You've done all the achievement. Speaking of collecting things,
so what have you spent most of your time on since we last spoke?
Most of my time has been on The Division, I would say, which I picked up for PC last week by liquidating extraneous keys.
Yep.
I quite like it.
Yeah.
Do you know much about it, Alex? I know, Ben, you've got it on the PS4. It's Tom Clancy's The Division. Of course, that's just because Ubisoft bought Tom Clancy's name, so they can put it wherever they want. Yeah, so it doesn't even have him as a consultant, but it's sort of like,
dead,
is he?
I think so. Yeah. Huh. Quite recently. I may be completely wrong on this. Don't take my word for it.
Never do, really.
Do your own research.
It's like
a persistent world sort of cross between an MMO and third-person shooter, cover shooter. And by that, so it's the RPG. So the MMO parts are like it's a persistent world, and there's RPG elements. It's basically like you level up, you get new gear, you have missions and quests, and there's a main storyline, and then side missions, and it even has the hovering exclamation marks. But this time they're sort of outlines in orange instead of the annoying yellow ones. It even has pathing, but where the GPS is just a giant floating orange line.
That's the thing that sort of quite annoys me about the game.
Off.
Yeah, I did as well.
Also, there's sometimes better ways, I think, than the GPS knows. But the premise is some evil people on Black Friday made a super virus that's sort of like smallpox plus SARS plus
Ebola.
Yeah, all of the bad things. Yeah. And put it on a bunch of money and put it into New York on Black Friday. And so the whole city's gone to shit. And there's sort of quarantine zones. And I feel like, because it's permanently winter, I feel like someone bombed something.
Yeah, it does have that feeling to it. It would be nice if the weather was, if it changed a little bit. I'm not sure. I wouldn't imagine that they currently have plans to update the weather sort of, next month when it's full-on spring, whether they start to roll out or phase out the snow and change the weather. But
That'd be cool.
It would, but the problem they've got is because they've tied the storyline to an event, as in Black Friday, which comes at a certain time of year. It would be a little odd to start to roll through the seasons if you're doing storyline missions, because suddenly it's the summer and you're still on mission 3.
Do the missions require it being a certain time?
No, I wouldn't
Black
think
Friday.
so. Yeah, but it's more sort of, you've just been, you get one cutscene which says, thanks for coming in really quickly, agent. We really need you to go and do this, and you go and do it. And then the next mission says something very similar, but suddenly it's in-game, it's the summer, and you've actually just been fucking around for 3 months in-game. They're like, thanks for coming really quickly. It might be a little bit jarring, but...
I think maybe we played this here the other day.
You caught me playing a little bit of it. Earlier in the week. So
one of the chief complaints is, as an MMO, numbers fall out of people.
Yep, you can turn that off as well.
Oh, can you?
Yes.
I'm okay with it, I think.
I've turned everything off. So I've got almost... It's only when I go into combat that the HUD for my ammo and my life
pops up,
reappear. And it happens...
You could do that much customization.
Yeah, it happens as well within proximity to enemies. Right. So if I'm running along the streets and suddenly my HUD appears, I know that there's enemies nearby. And one of the... you also have talents on either shoulder button. Which are
basically like your WoW hotbar thing.
Yeah.
But they unlock over time, so you start with 1 and then 2, and then eventually you can get up to 4, I believe.
Oh, really? All right, okay. Nice.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm thinking of the 4 talents, not the...
Yes, not the skills, which I think they're called.
Yeah.
And the one I've got that I use most of the time is, I think it's called Pulse, and it sends out...
Me too.
So you can see...
Yeah, it sends out a little wave.
It's just like in Call of Duty Blops 3, Sparrow's second ability.
Okay.
It was the pulse that you could see all the enemies for a brief amount of time, but it sort of keeps them marked.
Yeah, they stay marked for
quite a while.
Yeah,
and you get an increase in critical hit chance and damage on people who are marked by the pulse.
Yes.
And then as you level up, you unlock different tiers of these talents or these skills. So right now, for instance, I've chosen to do the even more increased damage.
Yep.
But there's also, you can have it so that not only does it spot enemies, it spots loot. That's one of the upgrades. You can only choose one of the 3 upgrades.
Yep. It makes it quite customizable.
Yeah.
And you can see how you get that MMO feel of having a different build. So if you do want to be part of a team or part of a group and run around doing missions and doing the Dark Zone area, which I might mention later, then you can each spec differently to give the whole group benefits. So one person can go in as a healer, one can go in marking enemies and giving people extra damage per second. One person can be a little more tanky.
And the big thing is you can change your talents and your skill setup on the fly.
Yes, yeah.
It doesn't cost money. Just if you've got it unlocked, you can choose to do that. You could carry 5 different types of primary weapon
Completely.
on you.
That's really helpful. I've been running around because you can equip 2 weapons, primary weapons, and you can change between them quickly. So I've been running around with an assault rifle and it's a sniper rifle. I think they call them marksman rifles.
Yeah, me too.
But also I've got a shotgun. So if I'm
down your trouser leg,
somewhere in my bag.
Yeah, in your tiny little backpack.
Yeah, my tiny little backpack. If I'm pinned down,
it's about 1.5 times the size of those ridiculous early '90s backpacks you saw in middle school that girls had that were like the size
the
of
one
2 fists.
strap.
Yeah, they were originally by Prada, I think, and then all the knockoffs came to all the stupid stores.
Well,
Think of
mine
that.
is Prada, but a Mary Poppins Prada bag because I've got this giant shotgun.
I believe you mean a bag of holding.
Yes, or a bag of holding. Yeah, and it's quite cumbersome to go into the menu and to be able to assign another weapon to one of those slots. so people can quite easily come up around you and get a couple of shots off on you whilst you're within the menus changing weapons.
Which I think is to make sure you couldn't just, like, basically become all of the things all of the times.
Yes, yeah, very much, very much.
Although I'm very curious what people are doing with on the PC version, because macros and stuff are things you can program. So you could program, like... Although I don't know if you can do all the key presses. Some of it might need mousing, because that would be much harder to do. But anyway, so you have a sidearm, 2 weapons. I currently run a marksman weapon, and I've been waffling between sort of a standard assault rifle and a submachine gun.
Yeah.
And I find the stability of the submachine gun a little better. I'm reasonably quick with the marksman rifle, so if they're far away, it's good, and otherwise I can just stay under cover. I can start picking them off with the submachine gun at a reasonable range, such that they don't come close. I do like, because you have the 3 weapons, if you're really in trouble, you can just... reloading takes time on the sniper rifle, and even on the machine guns. I've found myself using the sidearm quite a bit when there's like the bat guys, like guys with melee weapons. Just like, oh shit, I need to reload. I'll just switch to another gun, get a shot off, run to cover, like give myself some time. My biggest complaint is there's no fucking jump. Like, this is an MMO from the early 2000s. It's got parkourish elements where you climb all over buildings because the control is climb, but there's no effing jump.
I didn't like that.
So disappointed.
I didn't like the fact that enemies took loads of bullets to go down.
Bullet sponges, and they just it gets worse and worse. Like, one of the second perk you unlock is basically a remote detonate little bomb thing. And at the time you unlock it, it kills anyone in the range because it's a fucking explosion. But then, like, 5 levels later, it barely does any damage to people, and it doesn't really distract them that much. So I just was like, okay, well, this is dumb. I might as well always have the health boosting thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running with a turret as well.
I haven't gotten that far. I'm only on level 9.
Yeah, which fires towards enemies, which normally makes them suppressed. So they will stay behind cover, which allows you to move into a better position to be able to take them out. So yeah, because I'm playing on my own a lot.
Yeah, me too.
It seemed like the best idea to have something that would tell me where all the enemies are, and then something which would do a little bit of crowd control and pin enemies in places for me to be able to have a bit more maneuverability, which has kind of helped in the Dark Zone, which is the PvP areas. Which we will talk about, but we need another beer.
Yeah.
Good lord. Yeah, I figured that I'd not pace up you guys.
Yeah. Well, you're on big beers as well, aren't you? Well, the Anchor's a smaller beer, but the second one's a big beer, isn't it?
Yeah, bullet sponging I have made my peace with, and I think maybe it's just because I'm used to MMOs. The environment, I think, it's just a gorgeous recreation of New York.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
And you can go in some buildings, etc. I do find the sort of artificial walls still obvious that we have to have because we just can't have real life. Like, in order to render a fully accessible world, it would only be a couple blocks big at this point, right? Like, if you had all of the details in all of the rooms. But I still find it fun. Someone, I think it was Zero Punctuation, was not a fan of it because of the bullet sponging. It was his main complaint, and I think it just was not his cup of tea because it was sort of it is pretty rinse and repeat.
Yes, it is.
I find that I need to be a little more tactical as I level up. I also find it just hard to do by myself. It
is a hard game.
It is refreshing to die as often as I do. And by that I mean, now I'm much better because I'm used to, even in cover shooters, still kind of running and gunning, and it's just not possible past level 5, I think.
Yeah.
Enemies are just brutal.
So I'm finding in the Dark Zone, which is the
so why don't you explain more of
the Dark Zone is the PvP area, where you can go in, and if you start to shoot up other players, you basically put a tag on yourself that you've gone rogue, which means that then you can engage all players, and other players can engage with you.
Are there like clans or anything, or is it just...
No, you could be able to make groups, so the same as you would do for a mission.
But it's all like pugging, like it's all just make a party, not like
yeah,
a guild.
Yeah. There's no guilds as such in the traditional MMO sort of sense. But in the Dark Zone, the enemies are a little bit harder, and normally the enemies are sort of your standard. They've just got a health bar, whereas in the Dark Zone, a lot of them are named enemies. So they will have armour as well. What I assume is armour. It's sort of 5 bars above their health bar as well, and you have to deplete that before you then deplete their health bar.
And there are a few of them in the main areas, but they're like you're in like an encounter, and that's the big guy in the encounter. Like they're bosses basically.
And they in the Dark Zone, I'm not sure whether it's just the experience I've had or whether it's actually the mechanic of the game. They seem a little more. The AI almost seems a little more organised. Like you will have a couple of guys come towards you and a couple of guys will flank around you. And it may be just because of where I came in to engage with that group of people. But it does seem like that is where I've died the most, because they are absolutely brutal and they will push you back and pin you into corners.
That's quite cool.
And it's really cool.
One of my third complaint would probably be, I realized I skipped my second, but I can't remember what it was because I was so angry about jumping. But would be that the AI is reasonably simplistic.
Yeah, it is.
And we might have to pause just a second to
talk about
this beer. So it's the Buxton Tripel.
Okay.
9%. Kind of the same colour as the last beer, a little bit cloudier.
Yeah, it is. It is cloudier. Yeah, smells good.
It's not a huge nose.
No,
a lot going on in it. It's kind of fruity, I suppose.
It's a nice taste there.
Yeah, it's got a like classic kind of Belgian like complex flavour, isn't it?
It is. It's hard to pick anything out.
Yeah, it's not just like one thing.
No.
I can't really taste the fact that it's 9% now.
Oh, so it masks its... Although the Tripels tend to do that. Like, the Belgians are quite good at making a strong beer taste hearty, maybe, but not alcohol-y.
Yeah. There is a little bit of it. I just had a big mouthful then.
Yeah, that's slightly sort of almost on the top of the mouth as it sort of sits afterwards, right.
Almost like the sourness. But it's got, I suppose it's got a bit of banana in there. Some other kind of like fruit flavours and shit. I don't know.
It's a triple. It's a triple. It's almost what you would expect from a triple, really.
It's nice though. Anyway, sorry, you carry on.
Oh, no worries. God, I wish I remember what that second thing is.
This is your second one, because
because I know I know from the feelings I have that I dislike this thing I can't remember more than the thing I just mentioned.
Yeah.
So in the ranking, I know first and third, but I've forgotten second.
Right. Let's move on to another game that someone's playing. And if you remember, just shout, wave your arm.
Can I just ask one question about, given that it has an MMO-like thing, how long do you think you'll play it? Like, do you think you'll end up sort of keeping on with the Division for months and months?
I'm not sure yet. I am level 15.
Oh, so you're on a new tier. That's when a bunch of unlocks come, right?
Yes. It goes up to level 30, but you can go in the Dark Zone grades with you. So I believe the first Dark Zone area is between level 1 and level 14. So when I rock up into the next Dark Zone area, it's going to be level 15 to, I don't know, 20 or something like that. And I'm going to be the lowest level out of everyone. I didn't go into the Dark Zone, I think, until about level 12. So, I mean, had I have gone in, at a much earlier level, I would have just been destroyed continuously. So
we sort of skipped the whole point of the Dark Zone is that's where all the fat loot is.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is you have to get helicoptered out. So you call for a helicopter, but then when you do, your position's marked on the map, and anyone can come and join you on the helicopter, or they can shoot you in the face and take the loot you just got.
Yeah.
And even people in your party can do this. So if you are partying with randoms, you could just school the shit out of things, get some great loot, and then as you're waiting for the helicopter, get shot in the back of the head, and then they take your shit and get on the helicopter. And apparently, most people say that's one of the most enjoying parts of it is that tension.
Yeah, it definitely. The few times that I've sent loot out of the area, you're sat around for maybe the first, because there's a countdown timer to say when the helicopter is going to get there. Maybe for the first 10 seconds, like where are they coming from? Where are they coming from? You sort of try and set yourself up in the best position to be able to very quickly turn around if they're coming from behind, and you sit there and you wait for sort of 15 seconds and think, right, they're just about to come. I'm going to wait and pulse and send out this wave to mark them all, but just at the right time. And you suddenly hear a little bit of gunfire, like bam, where are they? Right, there they are. Cool. Then you can sort of deal with it. But yeah, it is very tense. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. I haven't actually been to the Dark Zone. Just most of the commentary has said that, and I think that sounds like a really refreshing addition to sort of shooter gameplay.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Anyway, now we can move on. I just wanted to, that was sort of the main thing I wanted to touch and forgot about it.
Yeah. Besides
number 2 bad thing.
Well, I might jump into a quick game very briefly, because I played 2, apart from The Division. I've revisited 2 games which released last year, which I played a little bit of last year. One which I really liked last year, and one which I didn't like very much. When we did the end of year episode, just after you'd left, Aadil asked me what my biggest disappointment in games was for the year, and it was Cities Skylines, which is a city builder game. And they've had 2 expansions that have come out recently. One which has introduced sort of snowier environments, so that brings up a whole new level of city management. And one which introduced a day and night cycle and various other things. I've not got either of those expansions. I've just been playing the base game, which has been updated with various different things. That now has the day and night cycle, but obviously not the extra content for
You'd think a day and night cycle wouldn't require an expansion pack.
Well, it probably didn't. I haven't got the expansion, I've got the day and night cycle, so it's been patched in, but it was probably patched in. I think one of the expansions is something to do with like it all being neon lights. So
yeah, it has like nightlife stuff, so I'm assuming it might have like increasing crime in a district that has,
Yeah, and it may have brought in more leisure, sort of maybe brought in gambling and things like that. But I've started to, before I was just starting up a city and sort of building it as I went. No real plans, no real thought to how it would evolve, and just thought, well, I'll just let it grow organically. And it tells you whether you need residential, commercial, or industrial. Obviously, with all these
basically
SimCity, it's almost exactly the same as SimCity, but there's a heavier reliability on the transport networks.
Which is not surprising, given that it's by the Cities XL people, which
is
basically Transport Simulator.
I think they made Cities in Motion.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I'm thinking. Cities in Motion.
Colossal Order is the studio that made it. But I've really started to go into a map and think about how I'm going to set out my transport network. And coming off of these motorway, or these highways that run through the area, which is your link into the zone from the outside world, and actually getting it so when they come in, I'm setting up roundabouts and people are being funneled into different areas. So residential traffic's going one way, industrial traffic is going another way. They've then got links between them. And I'm sticking with, I played around with a couple of different cities and a couple of different builds on sort of various maps. And I've been playing one city for sort of the last 4 or 5 days, and just growing that and building it, and actually finding that it's a very calming sort of game. You can just allow it on the lowest
time,
speed to run and evolve, and you can go off and make a cup of coffee, and you come back and only a couple of days in game have passed. Nothing's really changed very much. The need for residential buildings might have risen by a significant amount. So you think, right, now I need to start building more residential buildings. Because I'm building more residential buildings, I need to expand my water network. I also need to make more energy generation. And I suppose it's just because I'm an architect. It's
that sounds quite boring.
The joy of
just like,
creating a fucking city.
I enjoyed SimCity back in the day.
I enjoyed SimCity back in the day, but
SimCity 2000 was the one I played the most. I think. And that's just because it was given to us as a present.
Yeah, 2000 maybe.
Yeah, I think 3000 was the one I played the most.
And I enjoyed. I mean, when I was really young, it was like load a city and then use the codes to spawn a monster.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
UFO or whatever.
But I mean, I did near the end of my time with SimCity start to really enjoy like the actual city design. And I'm not an architect. I think it's a different sort of. I mean, if you don't, I think it's similar to just sim games in general, right? There's something sort of like, I like the word you use, calming, about the pacing and the very, I want to say tactile goal, even though that's clearly not a thing because a goal can't be tactile. But like it's very metaphorically grippable. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. It's very obvious. It's not like in capture the flag mode on a shooter. You know exactly what you're going to do, but that is, leaps and bounds different from actually going through with it. There's very little. If you know the route, there's not a huge amount of variance and obstacles that will ruin you.
Definitely.
And I think that sort of, and working towards an idealized version of something like the ideal hospital for Theme Hospital, the ideal prison for Prison Architect, which is a really fun game that you guys should try. Hold on. I'm using the projector for light because I blew out my half of my lights in the basement.
You suddenly went dark.
Yeah. So I can see. I wouldn't say it's. It's just like what is it? Euro Truck Simulator, which sounds like the dumbest game. It's oddly calming. Anyway, continue.
Well, that was all I really wanted to say about it was just that I'd given it another go, and that actually once I'd invested a little bit in it and sort of learnt a few more things about the systems and actually how they worked, and actually thought about it as a city rather than just a small settlement that I'm sort of going to kind of try and build up and try and make a nice little beach town, or some kind of financial, putting things around a financial district or something like that. Actually having a plan from the outset is really paid off for them.
If I designed a game that was called like Sim Plumbing, and it was like, I just got some new taps on the sink, and sometimes I can just go make a cup of tea and I come back and the only thing that's happened is someone flushed the toilet, and sometimes I quite like just listening to the water flowing through the pipes or something. You'd think it was lame, but it's obviously because it's a city. Then you're an architect.
Yeah, I suppose it is. But I managed to do a little bit of. I had it on in the background whilst I sat here and did uni work, so I can allow it to just play out and then come back within a minute and try and change a few more bits, earn a little bit more money through tax revenues, and you can do various things like that. You can set different taxes. You can budget for different services within the city so they work a little bit better.
I think I like certain aspects of that type of game, but I think without the there's nothing proactive about it. Like it's just set, like there's no combat, or it's not like a rival town that you can put out of business or take over.
True.
Or something.
Yeah.
It's not competitive in that sense.
Yeah.
It's strategic but not competitive.
Yeah. I think that loses something for me. Pushes it over the line somehow.
That's fair. And I suppose the second game I've been playing that I've revisited is Darkest Dungeon.
Oh yeah, is that still in early access?
No, it had its final release in January, but since they have brought in a few more elements, and I think they keep updating it with additional characters and things. I haven't played Darkest Dungeon for maybe about a week or so, but since the final release, they've changed quite a bit about it. It's I think I've talked about it before when it was put in early release, but you basically create a party of 4 characters, and it's a side-scrolling dungeon crawler, and you move through corridors into rooms to be able to get loot. It's all combat and stress-driven, so most of the actions that you do cause stress to the characters. One of the funnest things that they've introduced into the game is a new class called the Abomination, and it's a guy in rags with a chain, and he has a few attacks, and you can get him to transform into a giant beast to do additional damage. But that really stresses out the rest of your party.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's one of those situations where you think, right, all of my party, they're not stressed out at all. This encounter's quite difficult. I'm going to turn him into a monster. And then you get towards the end of the dungeon, and everyone's really stressed. I think if only I hadn't turned him into a fucking monster, everyone would be fine.
Awesome.
But they've brought in other classes as well. I think it's Houndmaster, and it's just a guy with his dog, and he sends the dog off to do an attack, or the dog can howl to bring the stress down and things. And that is a really tense game because it's a sort of a moment-to-moment combat game where you know that if a character if an enemy gets a critical on your character, that's just going to either take their health right down or cause their stress to go right up, which can completely tip the balance of the encounter that you've got. And the full release is now obviously the full game. There's all of the levels within it, and I've started to encounter a few more of the bosses. And fucking hell, you can just get instantly. Your party can just be wiped so quickly, and because it's permadeath on the characters, you've just got to have a run with another party if you want to try and do it again, or start building up another party to be able to attempt to do it again.
Can you not retreat?
You can retreat. Sometimes it won't allow you to retreat if the enemy has a certain attribute. You may not be able to retreat.
Like a door that's locked.
Like a locked door, yes.
Certain attribute.
You got to watch out for the Keymaster.
So Zool.
Yeah.
Was he the guy that the Keymaster brought? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's Zool and the Keymaster.
Yeah.
Go there. So it's sort of like a survival combat RPG thing?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
little
roguelike with the permadeath, but most games are sort of rolling in this roguelike element to them these days. But it's fun, another fun game. I really
it's not that expensive, right?
I don't know how expensive it is, but when it first released, I really enjoyed it, and again I've returned to it, and I've really been enjoying it. So
it looks beautiful.
It's very well animated. They've got some nice sort of 3-stage animations as the characters go through to an attack or recoil because they've been hit. They walk, even the movement of them walking through the corridor is sort of a 3-stage animation for each character, and that looks really good. The backgrounds are really well coloured.
But it's 2D-ish?
Yes, it is, yeah. So
it's kind of got like a comic style, like a dark kind of comic feel to it.
Yeah. It's got that hand-drawn and almost inked sort of style to it. So, I mean, out of the 2 games that I've been playing more recently, one is a nicer, slower, more strategic, well, not more strategic, but a more calming experience, and the other one is just purely intense, purely moment-to-moment craziness. And both of them are enjoyable games, but I think if I was going to pick one, I'd probably go with Darkest Dungeon over City Skylines.
Because stuff happens.
Yes, and as you said, City Skylines is probably aimed a little more towards a certain type of person, whereas Darkest Dungeon I think is a bit more accessible to a lot of people.
I'm going to buy you Sim Plumbing, see what you think.
Does that exist?
It ticks all the boxes.
It must exist.
It will exist.
So, what have you been playing this week, Alex?
I've been playing EVE Online, which is actually talking beautiful games. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah, it is a beautiful
game. Really
game.
Stunning. It's quite similar to Starmade in many ways.
You're still on your space kick.
Yeah, that's right. I am, I suppose. So it's quite similar in the you go and mine stuff, and then take it somewhere and sell it, or process it and do stuff with it. And then you can buy guns, and then you can fight people and take stuff from pirates and shortcut having to mine stuff. And then you can upgrade your ship. But it's not quite as creative as Starmade in that whole it doesn't have that Minecraft kind of build it yourself thing. But then again, the graphics are about 50 million times better because they're not really shitty block.
Yeah.
Now, you've played it before, right?
No.
I have.
Oh, really?
I played it.
I played it years and years ago.
Yeah, I did as well.
How the graphics have evolved, if at all, or if they've kept it at that sort of old school, any computer can play it now because it's so old.
You're playing it on your Mac, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which isn't the biggest graphical powerhouse.
No, but the graphics are brilliant.
Yeah.
They're really, really nice. So, I'm surprised how much you can get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and even on my machine, because I jumped on it as well when you dropped around the other day, and it looked just as good on my machine as it did on yours, and I think mine's slightly more powerful graphically than your Mac is.
So I guess maybe some of the reason that it looks so good graphically is because it's not like free movement. You kind of click on stuff and it'll like get there kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can't just like swerve. There's no like free controls. And so you can and stuff.
That actually was the biggest barrier for me to get into it was I found navigation really cumbersome and thus I found combat really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
It does have like, even though it is an MMO in that you're on a server with a bunch of people that you could bump into at any time, you don't really see a huge amount of people. And I suppose I would put that down to just the vastness of space.
It's fucking massive, isn't it?
You scroll out, you've got different menus on the side, one of which is is it a universe that it's set in? I suppose it must be.
No, it's a galaxy.
It's and you zoom out and it's just fucking massive.
Yeah, it's insane. It's similar to Starmade though in scale.
Yeah,
I don't think either of them is much bigger than the other.
Starmade might be bigger, but only because it procedurally generates as you go out, while Eve is a persistent world, which one of the things I really, really, really like about Eve is there's no shards, so there's no instances, and there's no multiple servers. Every player on Eve is in that same galaxy.
Yeah.
And that's how you can get the crazy stories when it was super, super popular about like subterfuge and betrayal and giant destruction because it's so open and there's not really a RPG element to it. There's not questing. There's no sort of storyline. So people just create roles and connections and etc. Having said that, it when I started was still sort of a couple years out of the heyday, and I found it really hard to just people in general. So in a sense, it was a single player game where games were happening.
Your sound's going a bit weird from this end.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's good to come back in instantly. That's good.
Maybe it was his actual voice.
It could have been. That's actually what you're talking. Yeah.
Well, fairly demonic. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few videos from higher end players of fleet battles where you've got lots and lots of ships fighting another fleet, and it's all revolved around. I suppose they're more sort of guild structured that everyone is within one. I think they're corporations, aren't they?
Yeah, I just joined a corporation.
Oh, you have?
Oh,
okay.
Did you? Oh, good.
So, what are you enjoying about it?
Well, I suppose, I mean, like, the most notable thing about it is the graphics are great.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I do find it kind of slow. Like the combat is kind of... I've got to the point now where I can, like, win little battles with the pirates. So I'm just sort of like, I'm okay with that. But I don't really find it that enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
Just orbit, shoot.
Yeah, orbit, lock on, wait till it dies, collect, and move on. And it was like... Yeah, there's no skill really involved in that.
Yeah,
It seemed like kind of... I don't know. So... I guess I got over the initial... I didn't like it to begin with.
Yeah.
I found it quite frustrating and very unintuitive, and there was no like helpful like hints of like...
Yeah, it's very difficult to penetrate.
Yeah. I'm making a joke about that. But, you know, like with some games where you're like learning the basic kind of mechanisms or something, it would like highlight like things, parts of the game, you know, like press this now or whatever to bring up the menu screen and now select this or whatever. Make it really easy to spoon feed you for the first couple of... Like there wasn't really any, if I know, any of that.
Signposting almost.
It's there's always like moderators or whatever that you can chat to. They're always there and quite helpful. But, you know, I kind of don't want to have to go to that point of like asking a question and then waiting for someone's time. I expect the game to give me a bit more of a knee up into the like what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I found it quite an annoying learning curve at the beginning. I did really needlessly. And so, like, I'm persisting with it because I kind of think, like, there'll be a point, a hump over which I get, and then it will be more fun. But I don't really feel like I've got there yet. So it's hard to answer, like, what's good about it. Not much at the moment. I kind of, like, I feel like it should be good. I don't know. It's like drinking a sour beer. I just keep persisting drinking them and thinking, eventually I'll like these. I don't like them at the moment. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it looks amazing. And it probably is good.
I think it might be a different experience. I suppose it would be the same with The Division. It would be a slightly different experience if you had a group of 4 of you, or if you were part of a
if corporation. If I was 15,
and
we all played together every night after school, and we all chatted about it every day at school, whatever. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, it'd be quite nice to grow up now instead of like 20 years ago when games were like completely one player and the internet didn't even exist.
I think we talked about it in the last episode when I was just a little boy. So when I was about 15, 16, that's when I started to get into MMOs. And my first one was Ultima Online, which I didn't play for very long. That's an isometric, very basic sort of numbers game. But then I started playing EverQuest, which was more fully formed, more 3D polygonal world, which was full of people. And I played with a couple of friends. Even back then, even though graphically, it didn't look anything like Eve looks. But that was you did sort of have that then, but not to the extent that maybe you do now. And the accessibility that, say, like The Division and all of these other games start to build in this extra, more community-driven aspects of games. So we're opening our 3rd beer,
and I'm opening my 2nd beer.
Excellent.
I'll let you guys go first.
This is the barrel-aged Imperial Scotch Ale, which is...
There's a bit in your beer.
What the fuck is that?
There's a bit. Is that? What is it?
What the fuck is that?
There's something in Alex's beer. It looks like a bit of Rizzler.
It looks like a bit of
hops, maybe?
Fruit skin or something.
Yeah. Who made this again?
This is by Tempest Brewing Company.
Where are they based? Oh my god, that's huge!
It's like a bit of slime. Yeah, it's massive.
Can you take a picture of that? I think we need to tweet that accompanying the podcast, because that's I thought you meant like a speck or something. That is like a leaf.
Yeah, that's odd.
That's
I'm still gonna drink it.
What does it smell like? Probably beer.
It smells nice. Well, no, it doesn't smell like beer, actually.
The leaf?
No, not the leaf. The beer. The leaf smells not very much. It might not be a leaf, though. Is your phone...
Some kind of...
Is your phone turning on?
It's some kind of, like...
Craziness.
Yeast or something. I mean, it looks to me like a bit of, like, apple skin or something. You know, like when you make an apple pie.
Yeah.
And, like, the inner bit of the apple caramelizes and leaves the skin. That's what it looks like. But why the fuck is that in it?
Does the bottle say what is added to it?
Rank-looking apple skins. Yeah. That's what it says. No, it doesn't say shit on it.
No.
Oh, wow.
It's all right. We shall tell them.
Oh, well, I'm just going to leave that there.
Yes. Are you going to drink your beer?
Yeah. I'm not going to eat that, though.
No. The beer it definitely has that whiskey smell to it.
I'm sorry, I'm just still thrown off by this thing.
By the leaf or apple skin.
It says barrel aged, but it doesn't say whiskey barrel. I think that smells more like sherry than whiskey.
It does say Scotch. It's a Scotch ale on the side.
Does that mean Scottish?
No, I'm assuming they mean it was aged in Scotch barrels or something?
I don't know, but then Scotch is called Scotch because it's Scottish, isn't it?
It's whiskey, isn't it?
It's Scotch. Yeah, it's whiskey with the E.
Single malt Scotch.
You can also have blended Scotch, sir.
Can you?
Yeah. Single malt means it comes from one malting.
One malt. Yeah.
Tastes very nice.
I've only smelt it so far.
Kind of tastes like
so far off by the leaf.
Or something.
Yeah.
Is it just me? It's quite dark, but in
Mm-hmm.
the light
Right.
it seemed a little red. Is that just Skype?
Yeah.
Not sure. I'm not getting a huge amount of red from
Yeah,
it.
there is a tiny bit of red to it.
Yeah, like when light hitting the bottom of your glass just seems
Yeah,
a bit
it's
red.
quite cloudy though, so there's
Oh,
not much coming through it.
That is nice flavour.
Mm.
It's very. You're not hit at all by any one thing. It's not sort of like there's a load of sort of scotch in there.
No.
You don't get hit with that flavour. It's more in the nose than it is. It's sort of a lasting flavour of scotch, which you get sort of more towards the end.
Yeah, I'd say it's quite a distinct raisiny flavour going on at the end. That's what I'm getting from it anyway.
Mm.
At the beginning, I don't know, it's like a...
It's nice though.
You can taste the alcohol in this though.
Yes, yeah, you can.
Like
Yeah,
with the other one.
definitely.
Flavour isn't quite big enough to hold back the 10% alcohol going on in it.
Oh, right, this is the tenor.
It is. Yeah.
The last one was 9, but this is 10.
How's yours, Aadil?
This is the Boxing Rock Sunken Ledge Porter. I poured it as you found the leaf, and you'll notice the head is still there.
Yeah.
And it's about
It's like a 2
1.5 fingers.
Yeah, about an inch.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's quite strong smelling. It's got this nice sweetness. What is that? It's like a rich fruit sweetness, almost like a raisiny, pruny sort of.
Are you saying that because I said raisin at least 2 or 3 times a minute ago?
No, it smells that sort of yeah, the richness of a dried fruit, like that condensed, strong sweetness. I'm not getting any sort of coffee or cocoa or anything on the nose. It's really just a punch of that, and then not even.
Is that a porter or a stout, this one?
This is a porter as well.
Huh.
Yeah, it's good. It's quite not the nose I was expecting. But again, my nose is half plugged, so perhaps it is not that.
Well, how's the carbonation on that?
A lot of little bubbles. So it's like I just took a sip and it quickly bubbled, but it didn't feel like bubbles hitting you. Like when you have a lager, you're like, oh, this is bubbly.
Yeah,
It just sort of quickly evaporated in my mouth kind of feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Do
think
not
American.
eat that dongle. Sorry, cat.
I think American beers in general are more highly carbed than British beers. Anyway.
Oh, British beers are flat.
I think we found that with the meantime, and I think with the is it the signature brew. Both of them were quite coppery, metallic in taste, but both of them again were very carbonated. I think that those are the two overriding notes that I have from those beers. That they were both very carbonated and very copper, or very metallic-y in taste. So I don't know whether that has anything to do with it.
I think it shouldn't do.
Not sure why I sort of picture those two features together almost.
No, the carbonation would be due to the secondary fermentation. So, like when I'm homebrewing, if I want to make it more carbonated, I put more sugar in just before I bottle it.
Yeah.
So it means that there's more for whatever yeast has made it into the bottle to eat. And then because it's airtight, unlike when it's in the fermenter, there's nowhere for that CO2 to go. So it just stays in there and turns into bubbles as soon as you open it up. I guess with cask brewing like they do in the UK, I guess maybe they don't add so much or so. Maybe they don't add anything in the end. And it's all keg beer in North America. So they'll be literally injecting CO2 to the beer in the keg, and then it's got nowhere to go, and you can just say exactly how bubbly you want it. So, fucking Neanderthal backwards civilization that it is over there used to drink Coke all the time. That's what people expect. So they just make it bubbly.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Right. We shall.
Hold on.
No.
I should actually tell you how this tastes. The soda Portello. Have you had that before?
No.
Michael Portillo?
No,
sorry.
I don't even know where it's from. I grew up having it, but it's an import to Canada from somewhere, and because a lot of sort of people from my cultural background came through the UK, I didn't know if it was a UK thing or an East African thing or whatever. But it's a sort of red fruit, grapey pop. It's really sweet but really addictive, and it has. This is like a tenth of that taste.
It's got that sweetness to it.
Yeah, but just a little bit. It still sort of has the porter tends to have a slight bitterness, like you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
It has that. It has that sweetness, and not a lot else. It's got that really weird fine carbonation that I'm not used to in a beer. But I'm not really. It doesn't quite taste like a regular porter. It tastes good, but it's sort of. I'm not sure what. I don't know what to label it as, because if I had a taste, I wouldn't consider it a porter. Like, it's just not in the family of tastes of porters I'm used to. But it's tasty. Anyway.
Cool. Right. Before we move on to our topic, I have been drinking all day, and I've just been hit by that wave of alcohol.
Can I talk about one more game at some point?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Before Ben falls asleep.
Yeah. I know I've talked a lot. Surprise, surprise. But I forgot to mention about a month ago that back when we did free games of the week, Super Hot.
Yes. Yeah.
The game where time doesn't move unless you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a flash demo of a couple levels, and it was really fun. And I said it was very unique and sort of. I think in response to Alex's complaint that Call of Duty Blops 3 was just sort of meh, and there wasn't really any innovation.
Mm-hmm.
I said this is an actual innovation in first-person shooting. It got released officially. It's now on Steam and I think Xbox Live, perhaps.
Okay.
Or it's coming on. I know Microsoft was bragging about it at some point a month ago, at least. And it's fucking fun. The graphics went up a full tier. It's still sort of white backgrounds. You're sort of nondescript black polygonal guy, and your enemies are red polygonal guys, but there's more polygons.
Yeah.
It also has a sort of story going on. Mm-hmm. So the premise is you're a guy in some sort of ancient CRT monitor and a terminal, and a mate of yours sends you a game, Super Hot, and says, run this. And then it ends up getting weird after a couple levels, and so you tell him, and he's like, oh yeah, they patched a thing. He sends you another copy. What's interesting is in the chat, which is of course text, so when you type it, it's on the left and he's on the right. That's how you know he's talking, just like an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
But your character you're playing won't type his response unless you hit random keys. So you don't know what you're supposed to say, but you kind of have to pretend. It's this really weird, like, immersion but dissonance at the same time.
Yeah.
And honestly, it took me a second when it happened. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And I just sort of like hit space, and then like it said, hello, or whatever. Like, I was like, oh, and then hammered on space, and then it took me like a full turn of this to realize any key would do this. I'm like, why is it doing it like one letter at a time? So I'm curious about the plot, but it's also just really fun. Apparently, the plot's only a few hours long.
Okay.
But after that, there's a bunch of challenge modes.
And
it didn't seem like a plot-driven game. It seemed like a
so the plot has something to do with this. You're on a terminal and you have access to this company's weird game. Like first time you have a conversation, you're like, something went really wonky, and I was in a factory, and then I was in an alleyway, and blah blah blah. And then the guy you're talking to says, oh really? Because everyone gets a different thing. So there's clearly. But of course, everyone doesn't. Everyone gets the same set of levels, and scripts. So there's something going on there. I'm semi curious about it. I like the aesthetic of the terminal, and like when you go into the game, it sort of has like, a digital zero is like a square or a rectangle rather. It sort of has that zooming towards you in the pixelated CRT curved screen way.
Nice.
And then you're the guy. I still suck balls at being a melee. But I'm getting slightly better. And anywhere the guys are hit, they shatter. Just like before, but I cannot resist going for headshots, which sometimes really screws me because you have to time. Because again, time's not moving. You have to time where in, a second, the head will be, which is the worst when you're like, I'm not sure, so I'll just move the mouse around to move time, and you just slowly see your miss happening. And then and a bullet coming at you, and you're like, I don't know if I can sidestep in time. And then it misses him, and it hits you in the shoulder, just on the edge, and you're like, fuck. But man, it's fun. I still stand by that. It is bullet time done right, number one, and two, it is an innovation in first-person shooters, like a full-on innovation.
But that's what makes me think it's like that's the game. Is like someone made a game as a proper prototype with like stickmen or whatever, but like with that concept going on, where if you don't move, everybody freezes.
Well,
whatever.
Technically, it's not true. Time moves very slowly.
All right, yeah, but that was the idea, right? And then they made it really, really basic, and then they didn't even like you said. It's still, what do you say? Hexagonal, polygonal.
Polygamy.
I mean, all characters are still polygamy, but this is like a beginner Mormon.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, so like
they're more complex than FF7, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, like they're still seeing the seer stones, but they've just they don't question his authenticity when he says, "Well, he can see through the hat." He literally looks through a hat, right?
Yeah.
Through some stone, some other stone. Anyway,
Joseph.
Let's leave that to one side for a moment. The idiocy of it's Easter. We should point out the idiocy.
It's not the idiocy of Joseph. He's a very clever man to get people to follow him for doing fucking fuck all.
Mitt Romney was almost president.
Yeah.
Put that out there.
So you were. It seemed like you were going on a bit of a tirade against the idea.
No, I wasn't going on a tirade against the idea. I like the idea. I like the concept of like you say, it's an innovation in first-person shooters. It's just, well, then when you're coming up with a plot or whatever, it's a bit like shooting an arrow at a tree and then drawing a bullseye around it. Like,
I'm not sure I would. I mean, it sort of reminds me, though not nearly as sort of revolutionary or polished, of Portal. Where there's a revolution and the game is just ways of dealing with this new thing, and there's a thin veneer of plot. Yeah. Except Portal had a lot of money behind it and had a great sort of set of characters and storyline. But if you took the sort of GLaDOS tension out, like really it's just you're going from room to room solving puzzles with this new thing.
Completely. Yeah.
And this is sort of the same thing. And there's not a accompanying great plot, but I somehow I don't think it's that problematic, especially when it's from a small studio.
Yeah.
I would like to see what people do with this concept in the future. Like, I'd like to see a full-fledged game where, like a Max Payne, where you live like the world. You somehow control this sort of time slowing time stopping. But I understand why it wouldn't be full time stop, because you could just sit there, walk away.
Yeah.
This sort of gives some element of.
That's just called pause. Yeah. They have that in games.
Yeah, and so I like that it's very slow. I also like that like moving the mouse does it, which sometimes you don't realize how much movement it is to like look behind you, and you're like, oh, that bullet's far away. You look behind you, and then you just fall over dead. While like things like jumping just like move time really quickly, and sometimes that can be your advantage. It took me a while to not try and rush through levels, though.
Yeah. You've got to strategically think about it and take your time to actually understand how everybody's moving around, and not the set path that you should have to take, but that there's certain moves that you need to make to be able to sort of progress through. Yeah.
What's interesting is it gives you a replay of the level at normal speed as you pass each level. But as Zero Punctuation Dude pointed out, what's really annoying is it says super hot with big super hot level letters over top flashing during the replay. So you kind of get distracted.
Right.
Now, I have noticed that you can upload your replays to Killstagram, and it assigns you a weird name. I can't remember what mine is at this moment in time. But I haven't actually looked at replays, but I'm hoping the replays on Killstagram don't say super hot, super hot.
Yeah.
But it's really stupid to give you this replay that you can't, like, something, you're like, oh, cool, I can see, I can't, what was that? Like, oh, I did that cool thing. Oh, there's an S in the way.
That
sucks.
But apparently, so what? I got the 100 headshots, which was didn't need to, useless but cool was the name of the. But there's also apparently a katana, and one of the achievements on Steam is killing 3 enemies with 1 katana throw.
Nice.
What I really like is your gun can run out of bullets fairly quickly, but if you throw something at an enemy, they will then toss their weapon, and then you can walk forward and grab it out of the air, and it's sort of like magnetic because you can kind of just grab it at a certain range. So one of the levels, you start right in front of a bad guy with a shotgun, but he's a bartender, and there's a mug, a bottle, and a regular cup, and you can just left click and just toss it at his face right away. But you have to be careful because on either side of the bar, guys are going to appear beside you. But there's also a pool table, so you can just throw pool balls at guys while they're to get yourself closer to just distract them.
That's cool.
And so I'm really looking forward to sort of more of that dynamic than just the shooting. Although
nice.
it's so it feels so rewarding when you kill 3 guys in a row with headshots just based on on the first run through, where and they're running, and you're I think it's there.
Nice.
Anyway,
it's just like in real life.
Yeah,
I imagine.
Yeah, you would imagine.
I would imagine.
So I was very conscious of keeping this episode to a very reasonable time and shepherding us into
shepherding,
and I failed in my.
You're a shit shepherd.
It's because I'm still on, right?
So we shall move on to our topic, have a brief conversation about collectibles in games. Now, I know that all 3 of us feel slightly differently about collectibles in games. So it's almost, we were going to talk about this last week, or last episode, and we ran out of time, and then thought we can just include Alex.
I think what we should do is
feels completely differently.
All of us at the same time should make a noise that represents how we feel about them.
Okay.
And then it'll make a chord
right.
of discontent.
A chord, as in you want us to hum a note of some kind to make a chord, or just a noise? Okay.
All right. So
when you said chord,
right.
I thought,
Well, it will make
3,
a chord.
2, 1.
Create G.
Yeah, right. On 3, 2, 1.
2, 1. Ugh.
Uh,
Oh, we're all the same.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Alright.
Ben's a bit indecisive.
Alright.
Me and you are both.
Okay, well, as I'm slightly different, I suppose I shall tell you why I'm slightly different. Both of yours were both quite
Mine
down on it.
Mine, I was negative, but mostly resigned. That's what I was going for. But go on.
So I didn't like collectibles just for collection's sake. So running around something like the original Assassin's Creed, collecting flags for no fucking reason, that it might give you another outfit right at the end of the game. Yeah, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
However, with The Division, there are lots of collectibles. There are phone recordings, there are drones, there are various different things which give you more exposition.
Yeah, they're intel
about what is happening. So you will just get you'll pick up a phone and you'll listen to the I don't know how they do it, but you listen to either the last conversation or the last voicemail that was left on the phone, and it will be 2 guys talking about how they need to get out of the city, or someone checking up on somebody else, or someone saying, "Oh, let's go and this shop is completely overrun. In about 5 minutes, everyone will go. We can go and get ourselves some TVs," or something like that, which just adds a little bit more.
But
to
it
the
adds
atmosphere.
ambience. Yeah,
it does.
It flushes out the world. I really like those as well.
Yeah,
and they show up on your map. Or like what I like is if you've run past them, they still stay on your map. I think.
Yes, yeah. Once you've discovered them, they sort of appear. So you don't have to. With most games, if you sort of see something out of the corner of your eye,
you have to stop everything and run.
Hidden packages on GTA.
Oh god.
You just have to, if you want to be able to get all of the hidden packages, because it either gives you an achievement for doing so, or you might unlock some kind of gun, which may help you later to be able to do it. You've got to stop what you're doing and go over to get it. Whereas the Division just allows you to, because it appears on the map, you take note of it and you can come back later if you want to. You don't have to. I don't know what else it would give you, whether collecting all of these
I think
gives
it's
you
just
anything else.
Like, I think it's just ambience and maybe an achievement. I'm not sure. Because it does track. Like it says you have discovered 4 of the 30 phone calls or whatever.
Yes.
What I also like is one thing we didn't touch on is you have a base that has 3 sections: security, medical, and tech. And if you do missions of that type, you get sort of salvage of that type, and you can upgrade that wing of your base. And one of the perks of, I think it's security, oddly enough.
It is, yeah. I unlocked that today.
If you unlock, what is it? It's
I don't remember what it is,
something weird. It's like
if you do all the side missions and do all of the encounters within one of the zones,
it'll just reveal the missing
it's like dogs. You unlock security dogs. Right. So obviously some bloke is going around with a security dog. So suddenly every collectible within that zone appears on your map. So it then allows you to go, and if you want to go and collect them all, so you then don't have to use a guide if you want to really do these things. To then have to go.
Which I like, because the idea would then be like, I'm done with this zone. I've done all of the fighting things, but I'm super curious. I'm interested in plot. Oh, here's a bunch of plot elements. Just go on a run through the neighborhood looking at plot, and then move on to the next zone. Like the timing is really well thought out that way. Like, because otherwise you're just going to try and run past this zone from now on, right? You're not going back is stupid, right? Because the zones are by level, right? The zones are like
you have no need to, unless you want to run a mission on the hard setting. There's no need for you to go back to one of these things. So that's why I like collectibles, to give you a little bit more exposition, not for unlocks really. But Alex, your position is quite
I don't like.
I
don't like collecting things in general. I'm not like a collector in my life. Non-gaming life. I don't like collecting stamps or Pokemon cards or and I've never been into that. I don't really see the point of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So the idea of doing it in a game never really appealed to me. And I kind of feel like unless I really enjoy the game and I've completed it, but the only thing I haven't done is go back and get all of the coins or whatever. That I'll ever really be interested in that part of the game. It's a small. It's because it's normally. 9 times out of 10 anyway. Because I haven't played the Division, but most of the time, what you're collecting is some like on Alien Isolation. You can listen to all of the audio, like recordings of, and a lot of the time, like I guess there is stuff to it, but
concept art collectibles and shit like that are dumb.
Well, yeah, those are utterly. But these are more ambience things where it's like you're hearing someone leaving a voicemail for someone, and they're all a bit sketched out and stuff. But like, unless they're giving you like the key code to the door that you need to get through, I'm a bit I don't really care. Like, I don't know. Like, I've actually, and part of the problem with that game was that it stopped being scary well before then, and then you were like, I still have to listen to all of these because in 1 out of 10 there'll be a key code to a door that I need. So then I'm just like, whatever, I don't care. I'm just like, I don't want to collect it. So I don't know. I never really found the collectibles part of any game interesting. And it's just an excuse to play loads of levels again if you really like the game.
Yes,
but then I'd rather play the plot.
Yeah, so exactly. That's when you just want there to be more levels, and you're just going back over the old levels because you want more levels, really.
As the collector of the group, I have to say that I used to have a problem with this, sort of slogging through a game to find the things. I still have a problem with not finishing side quests and stuff. Like, I'm. Even in the Division, I'm like level 9. I'm like, oh, I got to go back to that 3 to 5 zone because I've been avoiding this one mission because whatever. Because I have to get rid of that icon.
Yeah.
And as we talked about last time, I have way too many games on Steam because of this compunction plus living with Aaron for too long. But I honestly stopped playing Assassin's Creed games. One, because the completionist in me, which is connected to the collector in me, needs me to finish, especially because there's a pseudo plot throughout all of them. I need to finish the 1 to go to 2, 2 to 3, etc. And for various reasons, I lost my save game of 1, which was almost done, and now I just really don't want to go back to it precisely because there was all this bullshit. I think I've made my peace with that, and I think I'll just run through with plot at some point. And I have actually played around with 4 and 2, etc., but I haven't really done a playthrough because of this compunction. And it's because there's just too much shit, and I finally made peace with I don't care only in the past couple months, and it's because of time and time and mortality. I'd say.
Completely. I think
this is a dumb use of the limited hours of my life.
Hell yeah.
Also, Batman games, the Arkham games were the same. I really tried in Arkham Asylum to do all the Riddler things. They were kind of, they were at least puzzles you had to solve, but the only reason you had to solve them was to get another check mark on the list of Riddler things. Yeah. And it just got annoying.
I agree with the Batman games. I really didn't do any of the Riddler sort of side.
I mean, if it was right missions, in front of my face, I would get the thing.
Yes. If it was instantly in front of me, then yes, I would do it. But then, like you say, you've then got a series of check boxes, and you've got half of them checked, and you think, this doesn't look very neat, does it? Do I go and do all of these? No, I'll sell it and buy another game instead, and then move. I've completed it. I'll just do something completely different.
And the especially on consoles, well, Steam to a certain extent. Although I tend to ignore Steam achievements entirely, like they pop up or whatever. But for some reason, it's not as obvious. Probably because when you go on Steam, it doesn't immediately say this is your gamer score or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
But it's sort of. They've incorporated this in the console mindset. There are achievements. You have a gamer score. Both my PSN and Xbox Lives are under 10. I think it's a 4 and a 2.
Yeah.
Because I've just not done those things.
Yeah.
But now, apparently, they're trying more and more to make it so you can check your progress on your latest, the achievements in the game, and I don't want to see that. My problem with the Hitman beta, the new Hitman game was it's open form, but it's also, you hit when you go in, you can actually look at all the ways that they've got listed.
Yes, yeah.
And it's well, isn't the point to just fuck around? And now it's okay, well, I could literally just go, this achievement or this checkbox is this one, so I know I have to do this thing. And somehow that takes the magic out of how freeform it is. Yes, it gives you ideas. And I think I'm probably the only person who's annoyed by the list, because the list is so long that it's really cool, and I'd never think of all those things. But I don't want to know all of that. There are 50 million things. If I find all the weird green question marks, that's great. If I feel like looking for green question marks, that's great. And when I find them all, I'm okay with you saying you found them all, but I don't need you to tell me that there's 17 left. Every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I was the sort of person that, if I made a bucket list, I'd be annoyed at the fact that there were still things on there that I hadn't done after I'd done about 2, and then I'd just chuck it away because it was irritating me. I don't like lists in general. I don't like them telling me what to do.
Go to the Eiffel Tower now, fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. Because of that, I'm just going to play Starmade for the rest of my life. Not do any of the other things on there.
Quality.
I've got to say, though, actually, having thought about it, the one game where I ever did think about getting achievements for the sake of it was in Modern Warfare 2. I really wanted for ages to get was it call sign or... Yeah, I think it was a call sign. It was a little badge thing you got. Anyway, whatever. There's one that you could get a little name thing or a little said something.
To put on your little profile. So when you kill someone, your little profile banner pops up, doesn't it? Yeah.
So it had your name, and then it would have a badge thing with some words in it, a phrase or whatever. And then there was a little symbol. Yeah, it was all about the little symbol because one of them was the spinny round like sort of neon glowing nuke thing. And you could only get that by getting 10 nukes in online play. And to get a nuke, you have to get 25 kills in a 10-minute match without dying, right? So really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And I did it 10 times. And I really did work for that badge. It didn't make any difference, really. It was like getting the nuke at all was good. But I was really like, I hate it when other people are getting me and they've got that golden fucking banner thing and then the spinny round flashing nuke, and I didn't have that. But when I did, I was like, yeah. So every time now I play that, occasionally I go back to it, I always rock that.
So I suppose that's more of a status symbol, isn't it, rather than...
it's collectible.
It is a collectible, but you're showing other people what you've done.
Yeah.
So
that was an innovation in that game. I think.
So I have to say that recently I looked at my Steam profile, and so I have like 5 badges and a handful of achievements or whatever, and you can sort of pick what's right underneath your picture, and it can be your rarest achievements or a showcase of the ones you want to show off. And I actually went through and saw what ones I had, and so there's the Hexcel's Perfectionist, because I really like that game, as we know. There's my Super Hot complete the hexagon stage, which will slowly get replaced. And then, but I also didn't even realize I earned this one. But on Super Hot, I shot a bullet with a bullet, and I have the achievement of shooting a bullet with a bullet. And I'm like, I didn't even know I did that. Like, I thought I missed, but I clearly, I thought I missed and I didn't get shot at. But apparently at some point, I didn't die because I shot a bullet with a bullet. Nice. And I have a Counter-Strike one of killing an enemy while at 1 health. And I'm like, oh, these are random things I've done. I'll show them off. But I've had Steam. Well, let's see. Oh, look, I've got a badge. 9 years of service. And I've looked at my achievements once.
If you had Sim Plumbing, you could have the Flush the Toilet achievement badge.
And honestly, the only reason I looked at them was because I wanted to show off the Super Hexagon achievement, because it was simple. You did this thing. You finished this concrete part of the
level
game.
1, technically.
Yeah, level 1, exactly. But other than that, I just haven't given a shit. Also, it tells me that my average game completion rate is 17%.
Ooh,
and I
that's
only
quite
have 2
low.
perfect games. Because, of course, perfect means doing all the things.
Yeah.
Wait, I should have more.
We'll have a different discussion about achievements and fucking trophies and all that.
Yeah, but I think...
at some other time. Although there's my position on it.
It's all bollocks.
Achievements. All bollocks. I think...
They're bollocks, aren't they? Achievements.
I feel like achievements have helped fuel this... You need to collect all these things to spend more time in the game to inflate the playtime so people can't complain that it's really an 8-hour game.
Yeah.
For $70.
Yeah.
And
but then trophies and achievements are a nice thing to do to think, I've actually done this within a game. But ultimately, it's as you said with the spinning nuke, it's a status symbol. You can go on to PlayStation or Xbox and you can pair the trophies that you've got with other people and say, this person hasn't done this certain thing in a game, but they've done that and I haven't.
I've just spilt a beer.
No, not on the laptop.
No, it just more head than I realized. Continue talking.
More head than he realized.
I think I'm more proud of my spinny round glowing nuke badge thing than I am of my forklift truck rider badges, which I actually haven't paid money for. I think I'd rather have, if I could have chosen which one of them to spend 125 quid on, it would have been the spinny round nuke thing, because that meant more to me, much more. It's much more to get.
I suppose then with things like that, collectibles, but also achieving things in games, it's, as we said, it is the time that you've put into them.
Yeah.
Which makes you sit there and think, was this worth it? Yes, it fucking was.
Definitely was.
Everyone looks at me and thinks, I'm a fucking badass because I've got a spinny nuke symbol.
That's right, yeah.
And no one else has. They got the zombie hand because they played the first level of zombies. Or the knife because they knifed 4 people.
Yeah, or eventually after a while, they've all got it, but,
Yeah. Give people enough time and everyone will have everything. But
it's necessary. It's not sufficient for being cool, but it is necessary to be
necessary. I haven't got it. Does that mean I'm not cool anymore?
Yeah, definitely. You need to get back on Modern Warfare 2. Fucking arm yourself out with Hurricane was the plane that you call in, and then helicopter thing for 7 kills.
Oh yeah, the attack helicopter.
Yeah. And because those two things, they hang around getting kills for you. So
is it the AC-130?
No, I didn't bother with an AC-130. The thing about that is you have to be piloting it.
That's true. So you're not getting kills by yourself.
Like someone can just rock up and kill you.
Yeah,
and so if you fucking convince your hiding place is going to be good enough, and after a while, everyone knew every hiding place. So as soon as it's an AC-130, you're like, I'll just go to the obvious hiding place and kill the guys obviously riding it. So the Hurricane and the attack helicopter thing, which I can't remember what it's called, they were better because you could just call it, you just click a button, and then it's just there getting kills for you, and you're just doing your same routine, defending the building that you're defending or whatever. It's like, it wasn't really camping. Kind of was camping, but it was like defending a set position, not just sitting in the same place.
But you know there's 3 entrances to that building, and you do have to move between all 3 of them.
Yeah, and in that game you could get double claymores. So you could hold down like 2 entrances and be manning the third one. And then they kind of got wise to it, and then they made it so that you could only have 1 claymore down at any one time. And then it was like, and every single place, there's like they had some testers or something making sure that there was no place that you could go where there was just 2 entrances. So just basically ruled out my style of play. You know. So
Modern Warfare 2 we're discussing. Yes. So I suppose that will bring us to
a that bombshell.
Yes.
It was only a matter of time before I also spilt, but I'd like to say that I got 1 drip on the top of the mouse and the rest on the table, and it was fine.
Oh, that's fine.
Nice. It's not like all over when I poured a whole beer all over the Mac.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fine.
It was.
So for anyone listening, go and do that. Just do it. Doesn't matter.
Just chuck beer on your Mac, it'll be fine.
Why would you waste the beer? You encourage people to waste a beer?
Well, if it was a Cloudwater Lichtenhainer.
I think that's a great segue to beer choice of the week.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, not an easy choice this week. An easy last place.
Yeah, I think this week I'm going with the Tripel. The Buxton Brewery Tripel. The Scotch Ale was nice. It's a good flavour. The is it Tempest? Tempest Brewing. Yes, old.
Parochial.
But yeah, I think the Tripel was just a nicer flavour. It was a bit more balanced. It was very complex. It gave you a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree there. I think that the Parochial was more... I think that the Tripel, I've had better Triples.
Okay.
Because Buxton obviously isn't a Belgian brewery. It is a London brewery. And I don't know, they're doing an imitation of a style that's not necessarily the most natural thing for them to do. So I think they did well, but I think if you wanted to have a Tripel, I think you'd be better off getting an actual Belgian beer.
Like a Westmalle.
But if you didn't know of these other ones, just ceteris paribus, which one would you sort of seek out?
That I'm finding it very hard. I need to introduce some criteria in order to distinguish between them.
Because I think it matters, right? Because if just because you know of better examples of the style doesn't mean it's necessarily worse than this other beer, right?
No, that's true. But like I say, I need something to distinguish. But they're very close. There's not much in it, really. They're both interesting. They're both nice. They're both sort of, in a sense, similar style. Very high alcohol.
Yep.
Big, punchy, big flavour. Not hoppy.
No, not
fruity, kind of sort of weird yeast thing contributing to the flavour. I think with the Buxton it was like banana and I think strawberries as well.
Yeah, possibly. It
was quite sweet and it was nice. I liked this Scotch ale thing because it was quite unusual as well.
It was. I think the fruit skin put me off.
And I should put that out of my mind. It now looks like a dried up squid.
Yeah, you should really tweet them because that's.
We took a photo.
That's why I said you should take a picture because it's just that's ridiculous. Is what that is.
That does very easily segue us into what our Twitter accounts are. But Aadil first, what was your favourite beer of the episode?
So, if you wanted a porter, I'd say the Anchor. It sort of had the more classic cocoa-ish taste. But I think if I was to seek one out, hey, which one of these two do you want on a random day? I think I might pick the Boxing Rock Sunken Ledge. It doesn't taste like a regular porter to me, but it's really easy to drink, I guess. It's and the taste is, like I said, a little unique. It's sort of that purple, fruity, really light on the car. Part of it, I think, is the fact that it seems highly carbonated, but the carbonation's a bunch of little bubbles. It just is a really weird feel to it that I'm not used to. But I will drink more of it. I'm sad that that's the beer I spilt on the table, because that means there's less of it for me to drink. Now, if you disagree, you could tweet me at the Omniarch.
Very good.
That's THEOMNIARCH. You could also tweet all of us at tankedup_cast.
Realistically, you two. I'm not going to read it.
You could
address it to me.
We'll let you know.
Set fire to a zeppelin in the Bristol area to send a message to Alex.
Skywriting.
Yeah, you could hold a torch up to low clouds and keep flashing it on and off in binary code.
Binary, not Morse. Fuck Morse.
Fuck Morse code, yeah.
1100111111. Yes, I agree. Yes.
I
How
believe
could you do zero? Zero not flashing.
Yeah, exactly.
How long do you have to hold the one, though?
I think you'd use the more style for binary.
Extinguish.
You'd do short for zero, long
there's a whole load of zeros going on right now. Zero.
You would do short for 0 and long for 1, you jackass.
Then you might as well just do Morse, right?
Yeah, that is Morse.
Well, no, because Morse has a specific alphabet to go with it.
Yeah, he does. So anyway.
Ben, how would I tweet you?
You can tweet me at Nova_47. I've been having quite a few good conversations with people lately about different things, the Division, different beers.
What, on the internet?
Yeah,
people on the internet.
People on the internet.
And are they tweeting you as tanked up or at? Or
bit of both.
Yeah. People on the internet.
I know. Tell me about it.
And if you want to find us, find some of the other crap we make, you could find us on YouTube at Tanked Up Cast.
Yep.
Which is also our
Facebook
email address as well.
It is.
.cast@gmail.com.
Yes.
But also what you should do is write a review on iTunes, because that apparently helps get viewership. And also check out all the other podcasts on outoflives.net, because we are part of the Out of Lives network.
Yes, definitely. That's what I was going to finish on. They've got loads of other podcasts. PlayStation, that's called Out of the Crossfire. Wrestling podcast, Out of Nowhere. And their main podcast, which is just called the Out of Lives podcast.
And it's sort of pop culture-y, games, movies, TV shows.
They focus a little more on TV, film, and game, and talk a lot about news. So if you want something that keeps you a little more up to date with a wider range of entertainment, you can go on the Out of Lives podcast. That's a good.
They probably try harder to do research and.
So one of the things I like is they
do. Yes.
They actually will go through like releases that are coming out, especially indie releases, which is nice. While we sort of. Like me being a super fan and early backer of Superhot, remembered to talk about it a month and a half after release.
I did the same.
Up way.
Darkest Dungeon, actually, the full game came out in January.
When did EVE Online first come out?
6-7 years ago.
I finally got around to playing it.
Yeah.
That's
so,
good.
yes. And we'll catch you soon, I guess.
Woo. Take it easy, guys.
Ciao.
Welcome to Tanked Up. Nice, that's good.
Oh dear.
Skin.
It should end with skin.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be the little outro sound, possibly with my guffaw.